I'm sorry, no. I don't understand how it's okay to treat people's children this way. You know what, lady? If you don't like it, you can take your kid out of the charter school and put them in the regular public school, which was what you're trying to avoid. So just go do it. That's what you should do. If you don't like the way the school is dealing with it, I think the school is dealing with this quite appropriately. It sounds like the teachers are happy. It sounds like administration is happy. And it sounds like the kids are actually doing their work, which is the whole point of being in school and not being mediocre in life. So let's stop trying to keep our kids mediocre. Let's ask them to succeed. Let's ask them to be better. Let's push them. Let's push their limits. And if it affects their mentality of if they feel stressed, maybe they need to learn how to deal with stress, because you know what? It's going to get a lot worse. If they go to college, if they get a job, stress is going to be worse than it is when you're 13 years old and all you have to do is go to school. Hey there, I'm Jenny, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about children today in schools and teachers and some things I've been noticing. And I've been watching a lot of videos and reading articles about teachers who just have students that are unruly and they're quitting. They're not teaching. Or that they can't teach because they're dealing with student problems so much. I found this really interesting article that I wanted to read through and kind of discuss and talk about. It's from the Nourishing Souls blog, and which I guess is run by Summer Joy Brackhan. Now, the article here, it's about striving for mediocrity, the parenting crisis. I guess it's actually striving for mediocre, but I like mediocrity better. So let's read through it. Striving for mediocre, the parenting crisis. We have a parenting crisis going on in America. It is right before people's eyes and do not even know it. Most people are too busy rolling their eyes to even notice. It is the invasion of mediocre. It's everywhere. Well-meaning parents are not pushing their kids to do better, but are settling for just okay. As a private violin instructor, I have seen a huge shift in the last 5 to 8 years. A shift in how much kids are willing to work versus how much they are simply wanting to be entertained. A shift in how many parents believe their kids can do more, or how many parents are just happy to have someone else watching their kids for 30 minutes. It is a crisis that has kids not doing their best, talking back to their parents, telling teachers no, and a general non-compliance. It is a crisis that has kids waiting to be entertained and kids that are wanting everything to be handed to them. I could blame this on the rise of toys that have bells and whistles. I could blame this on entertaining electronics that are hooked to kids 24/7. But really, it is the parents. Our society is changing and too many parents are letting it all slip through the cracks because it is easier to do that than put the work into counteracting it. If you think I'm crazy, here's an example. Billy comes in for a violin lesson. The first thing the parent does is let me know that Billy is tired today. Billy starts the lesson slowly and after about 2 minutes asks to sit down because he is so tired. I proceed to let Billy know that he'll be just fine, and let's try it again to see if we can make a goal of 5 good bow holds. Billy lets out a big sigh. It takes approximately 5 minutes for him to do something that could get done in 2 minutes. Billy complains that his legs are tired again. I mention the next goal. We are going to strive for 4 good Mississippi hot dogs. I have no idea what a Mississippi hot dog is, but I guess it has to do with violins, playing violins. Mississippi hot dog. You learn something new every day. Billy lets out another sigh. It takes 8 minutes and some dancing around from me to get Billy to cooperate. By this time, Billy asks how much longer the lesson will be. The parent immediately responds, "You are almost done, Billy. You're doing great. I know you are tired." The truth is, Billy is doing awful. Why don't teachers tell kids that they're doing awful? You are doing poorly. You're not doing it right. Try again. We always would tell kids, "Oh, you're doing such a good job. Try harder. You're doing great." Actually, I don't know. I'm on the fence about this. I tutor my nephew and I do tell him, "No, you're doing it wrong." He likes to say that he knows everything. This is easy. And I tell him, no, it is not you're not doing it correctly. You checked your answer was wrong. That means you are wrong. You have to go back and try again. Now, is that the wrong approach? I really don't know. I do think sometimes I'm too hard and I'm too strict and I demand too much, but I want him to do better. I want him to do his best. And so I tell him when he's wrong. I tell him you didn't do that right. That's what I had when I had coaches. I remember riding horses as a kid, and if your heels weren't down, the riding instructor told you, heels down, head up. And same with like basketball coaches and softball coaches. They told you when you weren't doing things correctly. Like today I'm sidestepping here, but we actually had a conversation today about why I kept erasing his work. He has to work on his handwriting. That's an issue, but so I can't read what he writes. And if you're looking at math problems and you're trying to figure out, what steps the student took to get to the answer, you have to check their work and look at the steps. If you can't read what they wrote, how can you tell that they did it right or wrong, or that they understand the concepts? So he writes, he writes the 2 like an A, and it looks like an A, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Is that the variable A? And it's not, because it's not part of the problem. But he got really frustrated when I kept on erasing, and he's like, oh, she's erasing it again. And it's like, well, this is practice right now for when you're in school, when you have a test. You have to do it for real. You have to get it right at practice so that you can do it right at the game. And that's my upbringing of you practice hard, you get it right at practice, so that, or even I played the oboe. You practice hard at practice. You make sure you understand it, because once you're in a concert or once you're in front of a judge, there's stress involved. You're going to forget things. But if you know the crescendo is coming up and you feel it and it just happens, you don't have to worry about thinking about it, because you just do it, because you've practiced so much that you know the music. You are ready. You're prepared. Yeah, I'm demanding, but I've had people demand of me, and it made me a better person. So anyway, let's go back to this. So I think maybe that's why I like this article. It's about music. All right, so the instructor says, let's go back actually. So parents are allowing their children to be mediocre by excusing their behavior and by finding an excuse and stating it out loud. Now let's play out this lesson in another way. Billy comes to the lesson. The parent smiles and says nothing. As a teacher, I can tell Billy is tired. So I specifically choose goals that are attainable at the start of the lesson. Billy, let's do 5 good bow holds. Billy does 5 in less than 1 minute. Fabulous, Billy. Let's try 5 Mississippi hot dogs as loud as a lion. I respond. Billy smiles and does 2 super loud Mississippi hot dogs, so loud that it makes me laugh. Billy starts laughing too. We are 3 minutes into the lesson, and Billy is so focused on violin that he has forgotten how tired he is. 30 minutes later, Billy bounds out the lesson with a big smile on his face, proud of his accomplishment. Huge difference, eh? This writer is fictionalizing this amazing lesson that, I don't know, does it always happen that way? Probably not, but I guess you've got like the really bad and the really good. So I see these 2 stories played out week after week. The parents begin lessons with an excuse. The lesson is long and painful for everyone involved. The parents who let their child build skills. Yes, even when they are tired, their kids excel. The lesson goes fast and is fun. Raising kids is not rocket science. People have been led to believe so, but it isn't. A few weeks ago, someone said to me, you have such high expectations for your kids. Okay, that's what gets told to me. You have such high expectations. I do have high expectations. What does this person say? I responded with an enthusiastic and very firm, you bet I do. I like this lady. Can we be friends? Why wouldn't I? When in our society did it become a negative to set high expectations for our kids as far as behavior? And education, like, why are these schools lowering their standards? It's just, I don't know. So any kid can do anything given the chance. The number of times my kids have heard, use your head, or this behavior choice is not acceptable in our house, or you are better more than this behavior choice is probably astounding. Yes, I have very high standards for my kids. I have very high standard for any child. I think that all children can be respectful. I think that all children can work hard and accomplish a task. I think that any child can be great. I know you do too, but perhaps you are not reflecting this in your parenting style. Allowing mediocrity will not get us anywhere in life, but in the exact same spot. Reaching for excellence will raise a generation of leaders, of thinkers, of kids who are ready to work and reach their dreams. And it all starts with behavior expectations. Just yesterday, someone commented at how amazing it was that my twin boys, who are 8, sat patiently in the same chair at our music studio while my husband and I taught a 30-minute music lesson. Our boys talked with the adult and talked to each other while they waited. The adult said, "You don't see that anymore these days in most kids." That was amazing, and they sat there so well. I responded with, "Thank you, yes, they're great." I'm kind of messing up my reading. "Thank you, yes, they do great. They know that their only option is to be well behaved." Well, that's their only option. They better do it. Oh, I wonder what she's like. I get these type of compliments all the time about my kids. My boys are really well behaved, but they are no different than any other kids can be. In case you're wondering, yes, I give my kids plenty of time just to be kids, to ride their bikes, climb trees, collect sticks and rocks, build forts, read books, and run around the yard laughing. But what my kids do not get any time to do is be mediocre. So the next time you want to give your kid an out, an excuse to be mediocre, stop and think about if that is what you really want for them. Cheers, Summer Joy. I really like this article. It reminds me too not to be mediocre. I was thinking this about myself. Like, I've kind of let myself just be okay. There's really no pressure right now. Being in my 40s, work comes to me sometimes. Like tonight I got an email from somebody from a new client, possible client. They're looking for a copy editor, and I don't know how they found me. I have no idea. I don't have any connection to them, but they emailed me, and it's a legit company, and it's a legit person, so it's a legit work offer, and people just kind of come, and so I'm not really struggling at the moment. So it makes me not so pressured to do better, to learn more, to be better. So I'm kind of sitting in that mediocre spot too. I think I also got to this article after reading another article about a school called Warrington Prep up in the Panhandle of Florida. So the headline is, "Parents are outraged at Warrington School reprimands all of its 7th grade students for bad behavior." And so the headline read something like Warrington Prep, so the headline read something like, "Parents are outraged at Warrington Prep for punishing all of 7th grade for bad behavior." Let me go find the article. Okay, yeah, here it is. "Parents outraged as Warrington Prep reprimands all of 7th grade for bad behavior." And the story is that in Escambia County, Florida, Warrington Preparatory Academy is in the spotlight once again. So I'm not sure what that once again is. Just 9 weeks into the school year, Warrington Prep is reporting multiple incidents of bad behavior, including fighting and vandalism. I did read, let's just skip and see if they mention the flood. Yeah, apparently several students intentionally flooded a bathroom, destroying 7 classrooms, and the issues go beyond that with problems across the board. The official said it's not just the flooding situation, the kids are out of control. And I've been reading a lot about that and hearing a lot about these kids that are just out of control at school. And you got to question why. Why are they out of control? Is it that teachers aren't allowed to punish kids anymore, which is true? Is it that kids are disrespecting teachers more, which is true? So what do you do about it, right? Well, this school has decided to make it more like a prison. They've basically locked the kids into a classroom, and with the teachers, of course, and they don't leave the class. They've got 2 bathroom breaks. Their lunches are brought to the classroom as basically cold lunch bags, I guess sandwiches and chips and maybe fruit in a bag, and no hot lunches. And parents are outraged, apparently. But the school says, and I actually read a different article, so I'm gonna see if it's in here. I think I did read this one. Here we go. It says here, so far the modified schedule is working well. There have been no reported incidents since it started. As students continue to prove that they can behave responsibly, privileges such as going to the lunchroom and attending electives will be restored. We've also heard from the teachers that they are now able to teach, which is ultimately the goal. Exactly. We are building strong minds and good hearts. We have to build both in order to be successful. Our students will not only be smart, they will be responsible citizens who will make a positive impact in the future. That has to start here. We strongly encourage parents to volunteer at the school and in the classrooms so you can see what the kids are like. We had an open house recently for my nephew's school, and one of the teachers did say, she commented on how she couldn't do anything in science class because kids are throwing things, and she can't introduce a science experiment with test tubes because the kids are going to, she knows the kids are going to take the test tubes and throw it across the room, and it's going to smash and break everywhere, and there's going to be glass, and now it's a huge mess. So she doesn't do any of these because she can't. So the kids aren't learning science projects, and they're not learning concepts. Anyway, we knew this would be the hardest part, and we were ready for it. You know, I commend the officials for doing this. School is meant to be school. You are meant to sit in your classroom and study and have teachers talk to you and learn things. It's not about playing. It's not about walking the halls. It's not about games and videos. It's about learning stuff. And we're getting off focus here. And honestly, the competition is going to be these Asian schools where that is what they do. They do sit in classrooms. They do their work. They have to study. They have to learn. Our kids are going to be left behind. You want no kid left behind? All of our kids are being left behind. Every last one of them in the American system are being left behind, even in prep schools. I went to the University of Florida for a class. When I worked there, we were allowed to take classes. So I took a class. The class was awful. There was hardly any grit, there was nothing. You watched some videos, you had like a little mini lecture, and then you had an online forum where they asked you questions and you had to respond. There was nothing. There was nothing to like make you think. There was nothing that was like discussion building. There was no grit. It was just mediocre. It was absolutely mediocre. And it was at a top tier school. I think it was like I think UF is now the #1 public school in the US. No, I don't believe that. And if that's a top school, the US, a top public school, mediocre.
By a show of hands only, how many of you have read the entire text?
And the suggested supplements.
So going back to this school, the parents are outraged. Parents are outraged. Of course, this is to sell news, so it's kind of out there. And it's really just one parent, Jacquie Sailor. She says they don't let them leave to go to gym, recess, art, music. They can't leave for anything. They've been denied access to the clinic. What do they need to go to the clinic for? What? Why are you going to the clinic? Why? What's in the clinic that the student needs? Nothing. They need to be studying math, science, history, civics. I don't know what else they need to study, but they need to study that. English. Oh yeah, language is pretty important there too. Going to the clinic, sorry parent, but going to the clinic is not high on the needs for a student. She says her son and others are being wrongly punished for something they weren't involved with. Okay, I'll give you that. If your kid wasn't involved, it probably is unfair that they're being lumped in with the bad kids. But this is a charter school. This is a school that you have to apply, get accepted to be a part of. You have to be involved in. This is not just regular public school. This is a charter school. Well, my questions are, how is it fair to punish kids that weren't involved? How is it fair to treat these kids like inmates? Even the jailed prisoners, rapists, and murderers get an hour outside in a hot meal. Your kid goes home, lady. Your kid leaves the school and goes home. If they want an hour of outside time, I'm sure that you can provide that as a parent. Don't go comparing your school to jailed prisoners. I'm sorry, no. I don't understand how it's okay to treat people's children this way. You know what, lady? If you don't like it, you can take your kid out of the charter school and put them in the regular public school, which was what you're trying to avoid. So just go do it. That's what you should do. If you don't like the way the school is dealing with it, I think the school is dealing with this quite appropriately. It sounds like the teachers are happy. It sounds like administration is happy. And it sounds like the kids are actually doing their work, which is the whole point of being in school and not being mediocre in life. So let's stop trying to keep our kids mediocre. Let's ask them to succeed. Let's ask them to be better. Let's push them. Let's push their limits. And if it affects their mentality of if they feel stressed, maybe they need to learn how to deal with stress, because you know what? It's going to get a lot worse. If they go to college, if they get a job, stress is going to be worse than it is when you're 13 years old and all you have to do is go to school. Maybe I'll do more of this in the future, because I annoy my boyfriend with all my thoughts and ideas. I'm very passionate about learning and about education and about society and making the world better. And it really infuriates me when I see mediocrity. All right, well, thanks for watching again. Bye-bye. Bye.